Democratic State Senator Royce West of Dallas, thank you so much. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Same to you, Jack. Same to you and your audience.
Thank you so much. So first, let me ask you what your reaction was when the House killed education savings accounts.
Well, it was no big surprise, frankly. I mean, the pro-Republicans have spoken over and over and over again that they believe, as many of us as Democrats believe, that this is an attack on public schools. And having been in the legislature as long as I've been in the legislature, don't sit up and say that we found a new source of funding these private schools, when in reality, the funds that fund the entire government come from sales tax. And if we have a dip in sales tax and an increase in the commitment for private schools, then public schools are going to be the entities that end up suffering as a result of it.
And why do you believe that this is just bad for Texas? As you said, Democrats have fought this for a long time, along with rural Republicans in the House, but Democrats have been united in the Senate as well. Why do you think this is so bad for Texas?
Because here's the situation. This is not a parent school choice bill. This is a private school choice bill. Private schools get an opportunity to make a determination as to which students they will take. Public schools can't make that determination. Private schools can. There's no accountability. Public schools are under an accountability process that has a great deal of transparency. Private schools, there is no accountability. It's transparent to the public. The fact of the matter is that I wanted to make certain that in the Senate bill, I was going to offer an amendment that basically said that private schools would have to make certain that they would let us know what schools they accept, what students they accepted, what students they turned away. And there was a reluctance on my Republican colleagues' part to even have that type of transparency. So without accountability, and frankly, knowing that across the country there's an issue concerning the who actually gets to benefit from these private schools, they end up being individuals that are already in the private schools that are the ones that are the beneficiaries of it, not quote unquote with students from across the country.
Have there been a lot of requests in your district? Have people said we should give this a try? I mean, have people told you this, or have people come out to you and said, kill this?
The latter as opposed to the former. I can tell you, I've had several town hall meetings, I've been in town hall meetings where I've asked that question. I ask people, raise your hands if you are in favor of vouchers. I said, please raise your hands. And guess what? Maybe one or two out of 50 would raise their hands that they're in support of it. The fact is, they feel, as I have said, that public schools are under assault, that they're the de facto source of education in this country. We've got to make sure that we maintain it and improve public education. Are there problems with public education? Yes. And can we have choice in public education? Yes. If persons want to have their kids go to private schools, let them pay for it, as opposed to taxpayers having to pay for it.
And let me ask you, because now you have the Senate has already passed its two separate bills. SB1 was the vehicle for education savings accounts, and SB2 was approved to give more money to public schools and money for teacher pay raises. And so I'm wondering, both are now at the House. And do you think that the House will take this up? And do you think that the House needs to take this up and pass this?
Well, I think the House should pass the public school finance bill, okay, and send it back to the Senate. I don't know whether or not the Senate will pass whatever the House sends back, but I think they should pass it. And I think the Democrats should support that bill. Hopefully that we can pass it and send it to the governor. And frankly, I don't know whether it's time to override a veto if the governor decides to veto it. And frankly, I hadn't looked at the time frame, anything like that, but we need to use parliamentary procedures. Public schools need the support. Makes no sense at all holding public school finance hostage just because we don't pass a private school choice bill that the governor wants. And the governor should see that the great majority of Texans are not in support of it. When you look at the legislatures, the legislators, Republicans and Democrats, they're not in support of that. The House, what was it? What was the vote? 84 to 63 in terms of the amendment to strip that particular portion out of the bill. That says it all. This is the fourth legislative special session. And we keep saying no to the governor. And obviously the governor has the right to continue to push this, but we also have the right as legislators to make certain we use every political parliamentary procedure that we can to it. If we have the ability to do a workaround to override a veto, then that's what we should do.
And I'm wondering, I mean, do you think that, I mean, because the governor has said, he just said it about 10 days ago, when signing SB 7, that he was going to, if a bill comes to his desk that does not include ESAs, he's going to veto it. And he'll call lawmakers back for a fifth special session in December and January and February if necessary.
He has the power to do that. Okay. And we also have the power to, if we have the time frame to override a veto also. And so the legislature should use all its parliamentary tools that it can in order to make certain that we support our public schools. I am so proud superintendents in rural Texas, suburban Texas, and urban Texas standing up and saying, listen, if it means that we will not get the financing that's necessary, we do not want vouchers. I'm glad that the teachers are saying the same thing. I just hope the governor will listen to people in the state of Texas as it relates to this particular policy, not down this particular hill.
I also wanted to ask you about Senate Bill 4, which passed in both houses, going over to the governor's desk. The governor said he's going to sign it. This bill would make it a state crime for any migrant to enter Texas illegally. And the ACLU has vowed it will file a lawsuit and challenge it in court. What do you make of all this?
Well, I mean, litigation is no big surprise as relates to Texas. Texas is involved in a lot of litigation as it relates to constitutional issues. And so there's no real surprise on this. I think, though, that it just kind of continues to echo the need to do something on the border. And we've got to get Congress to go ahead and act on figuring out exactly how to stop the flow of immigrants coming into the state, into this country. And yes, we have a problem in Texas as it relates to this particular issue. I understand and appreciate where the governor is on this particular issue, but what he's doing now is taking what should be a federal issue and also federal expenditures and placing it on the back of Texans. And we can ill afford to be able to do that when we need to fund our public school.
Congress has the job. This is their job to come up with a bill, as you said. And I'm wondering, has there been any effort for state lawmakers to meet with, members of Congress from the Texas delegation to try to have some kind of understanding and agreement to try to push something forward in Congress?
No, there has not been. I know there have been conversations with some of the Democratic congresspersons, but yeah, you make a very good point. Hopefully, we should figure out exactly how do we have a bipartisan conversation with the legislators, congressional legislators, to figure out exactly where they are and push the fact that we need to get something done. That's a pretty good idea.
And my last question to you is, as you know, Governor Abbott has now endorsed former President Trump to be reelected, and I'm curious as to what you think of that.
He has a right to do that, okay? He has a right to vote for him, just as I have a right to vote against him, and I will vote against him. I mean, how in the world can you sit up and say that a person that's been indicted has 94 counts should be the president of the United States? And Greg Abbott is a former jurist. He's an attorney, number one, former jurist on the Texas Supreme Court, Attorney General, and he knows what this man has done. And he has a right to endorse him. That's fine. Okay. But the fact of the matter is that Trump advocated the overthrowing of our federal government. He has said that this whole election is about revenge. And he has said that those persons that have been indicted, prosecuted, and convicted that are in the penitentiary right now, that he will pardon those persons. Question is whether Texans want that type of person to serve as governor, as president of the United States. Hoping Texans will say no to that, but the reality is they have the right to vote. And the question is, they will make the decision based on what they believe is in best interest of this country. So I'm hoping that people will turn out to vote and vote against Donald Trump.
And as you know, there's been a lot of discussion about the polls being a year out as far as President Biden trailing former President Trump nationally in some of the key battleground states. How concerned are you about it?
Well, I mean, obviously I'm concerned, but I also know that having experienced polling in the past, that polling is not always accurate. Okay. We can look back a couple of presidential elections ago and we can see that. So the reality is that you should be concerned. You've got to make sure that you get your message out there and pull together the coalition that you're going to need in order to be successful. I think Biden's going to be successful. I think the more and more that people hear about what Trump has done, and start paying attention to it, that they will agree that this country should not be embarrassed by a person who's been indicted and ultimately will be convicted trying to overthrow the government of the United States and also kind of overthrow elections.
Democratic State Senator Royce West of Dallas, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Take care, Jack.
You take care. Thank you.